No, 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 no. I never said that. I said that Giselle knows how to dress. I think that she is a fashion icon. You're the one that said that she didn't know how to dress. No, no, no. It was all on you. I never said that. It was you and your other friend that said that. No, no. I always thought that Giselle knows how to dress. She is a stylist. She's everything. I love how she dresses every single day.
What do you think about Giselle's fashion?
Giselle's fashion? Oh, it's terrible. What are you talking about? Everybody knows it. Yeah, no, everybody knows that she doesn't know how to dress. Do you see her? Like, do you see what she wears? It's a complete joke. No, she doesn't know how to dress at all. It's terrible. Wait, hold on. I'm mic'd? Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Raphael and I'm here to review episode 3 of The Real Housewives Wanting a Prenup, even though they're not gonna get married, of Potomac. We start the episode off right where we left off with Giselle telling Candiace that her husband Chris had made her feel uncomfortable at last season's reunion by telling her, "Can we talk for a second?" So both of them ended up in the same room together, alone. Now did Chris say or do anything inappropriately to Giselle? According to her, no. So Candiace is looking at her confused like, okay, if he didn't do either one to you, what makes you so uncomfortable? What's the problem? Giselle, she goes on to explain and says, well, it's just the fact that me and him were in a room together, alone, and he's married. It makes me uncomfortable. Now, I mean, if you look past Giselle's bad fashions and if you squint your eyes just right, you might see her point to a certain extent. Like, I get what she's saying. Like, okay, you don't want to be in a room together with a married man with the door closed or anything like that because it could look suspicious. I get that. But Giselle, you're trying to paint out a whole different picture. You're trying to make a whole different narrative on Chris by saying, oh, he was trying to be my sneaky link. He was trying to come on to me. Married men have done this before to me. Like, you make it seem like he was trying to have a whole affair with you when that's probably not even it. So, and on top of that, I could have swore, Giselle, that you hung out with Robin's roommate, Juan, at some point as well behind her back without her knowing. Just the two of you when he asked you, oh, can you come out shopping with me? I want to know your opinion on the ring that I'm trying to get Robin for our engagement that is never going to happen. I could have swore that it was just you and him hanging out and you never had a problem then. You never felt uncomfortable around Juan. I mean, technically he's not married to Robin, nor will he ever be, but he still fits the category of being with somebody else. So again, that didn't make you feel uncomfortable? I guess you just pick and choose. But Candiace is not having any of Giselle's BS, so she gets up and she leaves. She's looking for Eric, the producer. Giselle, she's left there looking stupid. She was like, wait, this is the part that she yells at me and she curses me out. So Candiace, she's walking around looking for Eric. The camera people, they're all in her face. She was like, no, get the camera out of my face. I don't need a camera. I don't need a camera. Get the camera out of my face. No, put the camera on me, though. I'm looking for Eric. Hold on, Eric. Give me 1 second. I'm going to be right there with you. Hold on. What do you mean the camera's down? Hurry up. I'm going to give you a good moment right now. Hurry up. Yeah, wait. I know I said I don't need the camera, but I really do. Hurry up. You got it? Hold on, Eric. How you doing, by the way? You good? Yeah, did you like the scene between me and Giselle in there? Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to give you more. You got the camera? Okay. Get the camera out of my face. No, put it on my good angle. Get the camera out of my face. Eric, let me tell you something. So she tells Eric, the producer, we're not going to do this with my husband today. We're not going to pay him out to be something that he's not. When the real ass-grabbing mother trucker is right there by the name of Michael Darby. And honestly, if I was her, I would have went even lower and I would have mentioned Jamal in the conversation as well. Like, yeah, we know what happened between him and Giselle, but I would have dug it up one more time to throw it in her face. So then Eric, Eric, he went from producer to housewife. He was like, I'm going to get my champagne flute for next season. He looks at Candiace and he was like, so what are you telling me for? I'm like, well, damn, if I was Candiace, I would have been like, okay, never mind then. I'm just going to go that way. He looked at Candiace and he said, this ain't Phaedra. Meanwhile, Giselle, she's getting up and she's all struggling to get up. She's like, oh man, hold on, I'm coming. She's walking back outside to the room as if she just worked a 9-to-5 shift. Like, she looked so exhausted and she was like, hey everybody, yeah, oh, today was rough. I'm tired. So they're looking at her and they're like, wait, what's going on? Where's Candiace? Why is she in the other room? What's going on? Giselle, she was like, I don't know. I don't know what's the problem. I don't get what's going on. As if she wasn't just trying to get underneath Candiace's skin a second ago. So speaking of Candiace, she's going back and forth with the other new housewife of the show, Eric, in the other room. She's telling him, it's just so funny how everybody on the show welcomes Michael Darby back with open arms and tea and crumpets after everything that he's done, yet my husband is the bad one all of a sudden. And I have to agree with Candiace because Michael, he's given chance after chance after chance every other season, even after he was exposed on camera, on footage. He has footage of him doing stuff to other people that's inappropriate, yet he's rewarded by staying on the show season after season after season. Yet Phaedra, the whole situation with her and Candy, yeah, that was terrible. And yeah, she may have allegedly spread these rumors about Candy, but look, she was given the boot right away. Like, she never came back after that. Yet again, Michael, he comes back season after season after season. They tell him for like 5 seconds, like, oh, you know what you did was wrong, right? Okay, good. You know now. Come back next season. So it's just like, it's funny. It's interesting how they pick and choose who goes and who stays. So Eric, he's pushing back and he was like, look. First of all, I'm not in control of what everybody says on the show. I'm not in control of what you say. What she has to say, that's what she has to say. Candiace, she was like, well, yeah, but I speak the truth. So then Eric was just like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. And again, they're both just going back and forth with each other. And I'm like, ooh, Eric, again, somebody give him a champagne flute for next season. So then Candiace was like, you know what? I'm leaving because Giselle, she obviously wants this reaction out of me and I'm not going to give it to her. So I'm leaving. So then I believe she also tells Eric, by the way, Eric, make sure that you keep this fourth wall thing going on the show. Like, make sure that you keep this. You better keep this footage on the show. And I'm like, ooh, Candiace, if I was Eric, I would have looked at her and I would have been like, or what? And what if I don't? But Candiace, she leaves, she gets in her car and she drives away. But right before that, in her confessional, she goes on to say, I'm not doing that with Giselle today. I'm not doing that with her neck or her ankles. You know, she was pissed by adding emphasis on the k and neck. So she gets in her car and she leaves, and that was that. And just like I said last week, how I feel like her and Ashley should get on a song together, a diss track towards Michael. I would like to see Candiace make a diss track towards Giselle. Like, that would be interesting. And then perform it at the reunion. And speaking of the reunion, I'm just looking at all of this and I'm like, Giselle, you know, let me just get ready now because I know that Giselle is going to get dragged left, right, and down the middle at the reunion again. Back in the other room, Wendy is telling the group that she met with Peter Centerpeach Thomas to possibly open up a lounge together. Charisse is looking at her like, are you sure you want to do that? Because you're basically going to be living in that lounge 24/7. And I mean, Wendy, after Peter's done scamming you out of your money, your house, and everything else you got and your degrees, you're going to have no choice but to live in that lounge 24/7. So meanwhile, did y'all see Giselle to the side? She was putting on her lipstick. She was like, all right, my first scene with Candiace is down. Time to start more drama with Mia. So Mia, let's talk. I'm like, Giselle, I promise you, Giselle, it is completely fine if you don't cause any type of mess for one episode. Just for one episode, even for 5 minutes. It's like she can't control herself. She was like, Mia, I just want to talk because I texted you the other day about, you know, what happened at Karen's party and how I came up to you. And I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to talk to you about my approach. And I'm like, okay. So then Robin, all of a sudden, she wants to be the producer. And she was like, I just feel like, you know, both you and Mia, maybe both of you should go talk somewhere privately, you know, over there where there's a camera crew, camera people, and a producer. Maybe you should go over there. So they head over there. Mia, she starts off the conversation with Giselle privately. And she was like, Giselle, I just can't believe that you came at me the way you did about my Instagram post. I mean, I expected that from Big Booty Wendy, but I didn't expect that from you. I'm very shocked that you came at me the way you did. I thought that we were closer. So then Giselle was just like, you know, I get it. You know, my approach wasn't the best. It really wasn't. And, you know, for that, I actually, you know, I want to take some type of accountability. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. Accountability from Giselle? What's going on here? Next thing you know, she continues on and she was like, you know, about the way I approach you, I feel like I should have went about it a different way. And for that, I'm very, very sorry. And I'm like, I'm sorry from Giselle. I thought I was watching an episode of MTV's Punk'd. I was just waiting any second. I'm like, I know Ashton Kutcher is about to pop up out of nowhere like, oh no, just kidding. Giselle didn't mean it. I'm like, wow, Giselle apologizing to somebody on the show? Okay, so then Mia was like, oh, you know, I accept it. It's fine or whatever. Like, I get it. People have their questions about my Instagram post, but it's never anything malicious. So they get up, they hug, and that was that. Meanwhile, back over in the other room, Ashley's telling the rest of the group, I just feel bad that Giselle is in there by herself talking to Mia when technically we all have the same opinions as Giselle. And Wendy, she was like, no, I never did. And I'm like, Wendy, you know, I almost believed you until that footage later on in like 2 minutes. And I'm like, So Wendy's like, no, I never said anything about Mia. And I'm like, sure you didn't. So she was like, no, I actually was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I was trying to be open-minded about her Instagram post. It was everybody else that had questions about it, not me. And I'm like, Wendy, okay, sure. So then Robin, I'm not sure what was going on with Robin. I feel like that Robin, she probably ate some of Popeye's spinach. You know, the one that makes you strong, because out of nowhere, she was like, Wendy, you're not gonna lie on me and Giselle because at Karen's party, you went up to Mia and you say, oh, did those two say something about your Instagram post? Did those two? Was it those two? And then they played the flashback. And I mean, she didn't really technically say it like that. She just kind of alluded to it, but she wasn't really being mean-spirited about it. Unlike Robin's trying to make it seem. Robin's trying to put this whole situation from 0 to 100 for no reason. And I'm like, Robin, I promise you, it's okay to relax. Did Juan say something to you this morning to piss you off? Because that's what it's coming off to. So then Wendy's just shocked that she's talking to her like that. And she was like, first of all, Robin, why are you talking to me like that for no reason? Like, first of all, relax. Never said anything about Mia. And she's like, you're the one that said everything to her face. You're the one that approached her all negatively, like for no reason. And again, Robin, she's just getting more and more and more hype. And I believe I had tweeted too. I had tweeted and I said, oh, it's so funny seeing Robin get so bold and feeling like she's tough against Wendy now, trying to secure her spot for next season. It's just so interesting seeing that. Wendy, I guess she was going through the hashtag and she liked one of my tweets. So technically, I'm a housewife too. But then Wendy, she's telling Robin, she's like, Robin, you know what? If you're gonna, accuse me of doing this, that, and the third with her Instagram post, or think that it's something shady going on, or that she wants attention, that you need to stand 10 toes down on what you believe in. So then Robin, this is where Robin kind of loses me. Robin, she gets up and she opens up her arms. She starts walking to Wendy. She was like, this is standing 10 toes down. I am standing on everything that I'm saying. She's walking towards her. And I'm like, Robin, what are you doing? What are you doing? Do you want to get physical? What's happening? Because just a second ago, your friend Giselle, she was walking around everywhere in Potomac with a bodyguard because of the whole situation with Monique and Candiace, and she was so scared of Monique, doing whatever. So now you're approaching Wendy like that? So interesting. So then Wendy, she started talking to her like she was a school teacher. She was like, excuse me, Miss Dixon. No, sit down, take a seat, Robin, take a seat, Miss Dixon. I'm like, absolutely not, Wendy. You were way too nice, because if I was you, I would have gotten out of my seat. I would have saw her approach me. I would have been titty to titty with her. And I would have been like, Robin, don't make me grab Monique's umbrella. I have it. She left it for me at the reunion. But Robin, again, she was all out of line and all hype or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying it. But then again, it's a whole different side to Robin. So Mia and Giselle, they come back out. They're like, wait, what's happening? What's going on? Eventually, Robin, she decides to be petty. And she tells Mia, I want to get to know you. I know I have my little, speculations about your Instagram post, but I want to get to know you as a person. And I know you have children, right? So I know your children are free next week. How about you come over to my house? And then she starts inviting everybody's children one by one, like, oh, come to my house. We're all going to do something, except Wendy and her children. And yeah, people thought that this was, a little bit too much, that she shouldn't have done that. She should have invited Wendy and her kids over. But I mean, the only thing I take from this is that Robin was being mean-spirited with it. I feel like this is a little bit too mean to do that in front of Wendy and, the whole kid situation, because yeah, technically you're not going to invite somebody that you just got into it with just now, just because of the kids. No, because then the kids are going to see their moms are going to have tension between each other. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? And who knows what's going to happen at the event or at the party or wherever Robin's inviting everybody to. Like, Wendy shows up and then Robin's not going to want to speak to her, and then they get into it in front of the children. So it was might as well better to avoid all of that. But again, Robin could have went about it a different way. Like, maybe text everybody individually after, like, oh, if you're free. But no, she just wanted to be spiteful in front of Wendy to try to hurt her feelings. So they're like, wait, so you're not going to invite Wendy? Robin is like, no, I'm not going to invite her. That's that. And that was it. I believe Wendy had, she had retweeted something on her Twitter. She was like, I think the tweet was like, oh, it's better that Wendy's kids don't go over to Robin's house anyway, because Robin probably doesn't have any food. Terrible. But speaking of Wendy got exposed because after all of this was said and done, Wendy, I guess she was getting ready to film her confessional or something. The producer was like, hey, Zenwen, how are you? So what's been going on with Mia? What's been going on with that? Wendy, all of a sudden, her whole tune changes and she's like, oh, with Mia, we all know she's a liar. She's lying about everything about her Instagram post. She's a complete liar. But who cares? And I'm like, Wendy, what? So everything that you just said a second ago to Robin, like, what was that about? This just goes to show you that Wendy has some good acting skills. We then see Candiace at her house, and it's been 3 hours since the situation between her and Giselle went down. She's feeling emotional, a little bit vulnerable too, so she's calling her nurse because she needs to take her injections in her stomach to, begin the process of her getting her eggs frozen. So she's like, yeah, I feel alone because Chris, obviously, I'm assuming he's at work, and she just felt betrayed by Giselle 3 hours ago. So she was like, she knows that I have to go through all of this, yet she still brought that to my front door. And yeah, it is pretty terrible if you look at it that way. Like, Giselle, you knew what she was about to go through, and you know that anything could throw off her, know, her body, her emotions, her stress, her everything, and you still managed to tell her that to her face, like, and you know, you could tell that Candiace is extremely hurt because she has still been tweeting about this ever since Sunday. She's been tweeting about this episode nonstop, how she feels betrayed by Giselle, this, that, and the third, and even in her confessional, she was like, I can't believe that I allowed myself to get so comfortable around Giselle Bryan. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty unfortunate because that's the downside of this show, or I guess any reality TV show, but I see it more often on the Real Housewives, that the women on these shows, regardless of the city, they're willing to throw away all these friendships that they have for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years down the garbage, as long as they have somebody to go bump heads with or have conflict with to keep their spot on to the next season, just for a reality TV show, just for entertainment. And that's pretty sad. Even Candiace, again, she was just tweeting about it. It's pretty sad that, you know, somebody will, you know, do this whole situation about my husband just for entertainment purposes, just so they could keep their spot on the show. And again, Giselle, yeah, you know, she's always been, you know, desperate, or the producer on the show, but it's just like, come on now. I feel like Candiace genuinely thought that she had a friend in her, and it wasn't the same way mutually. And I honestly saw this whole thing coming from a mile away. I'm only shocked that it took this long, because I would have thought that Candiace would have opened up her eyes sooner to Giselle and her games. We then see Karen and Ray heading to a nail salon to get their nails done, which reminds me, I need to get my nails done too. They're looking real dusty. I'm not sure what color to get though. I was thinking pink, maybe gold. I'm not sure. What do y'all think? But they're there in the chair, and then Karen, she asks Ray, so Ray, now that I'm looking better and I'm working on my image and I got my boobs done, what do you think about this? Does it make you insecure? Ray, he's like, well, yeah, it does make me insecure, because now that you're looking good, you're looking better, obviously you're attracting more eyeballs, more men are looking at you, so I am gonna feel some type of way about it. And I mean, it's understandable, you know, it's okay to feel a little type of jealousy in your relationship, as long as you don't get crazy or out of line with it, everything is fine. So then Karen, this is where she threw me off, because she tells Ray, but Ray, I mean, you do know that in our marriage, we agreed that I could have my own eye candy. And I'm like, eye candy? I mean, I know what eye candy means, but the way Karen was talking about it, it almost sounded like she was talking about some side dick. She was like, I don't know, I'm getting my boobs done for a reason. So Ray went on to say that, yeah, you can have your own eye candy, but that's that. It could only be just candy. And I'm not talking about candy from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm talking about strictly just eye candy, and that's that. And I'm like, interesting. What did I just say about Karen in my previous review? I said that eventually down the line in her marriage with Ray, she's going to get bored of it. She's probably thinking like, oh, you know, I do love Ray, but at the same time, I want to get my loving on over there as well. She's trying to have a hot grand dame summer, but at the same time still remain with Ray, because now she's feeling all confident. She's got her boobs done. She's trying to put them to work. She's seeing that everybody's looking at her. All these men are looking at her. So she's like, well, you know, I could have Ray, but at the same time, I'm trying to have a piece of candy as well. You know, like, why have just one piece of candy when I can have a lollipop over there, a Snickers bar over there, some Skittles over there, some gummy bears over there. Shit, I'm trying to have a bunch of cavities in my mouth. Then we see Ashley house shopping with her brother Zach, and the house that she's looking at is nice, but she's a little worried because every time that she tries to put an offer on any house, somebody comes and swipes it away from her with a cash offer. She also introduces us to her realtor, Natalie. Which I'm already looking at her sideways, because Ashley, she tells Natalie, I'm not trying to make my divorce with Michael public just yet, because I feel like it's going to benefit me in the end when I buy my own house with his money. You know what I'm saying? So then Natalie, she threw a curveball at Ashley, and she was like, oh, really? You're not trying to make your divorce public? Oh, that's cute. Well, guess what? I already know about it, and I already know that he cheated on you 10 times. So anyways, let's keep talking about this house. And I'm like, ooh. Ashley was caught off guard, so she was like, wait, what do you mean? Natalie goes on to explain that, yeah, I've been watching this show since season 1. Karen Huger, she's my personal favorite. Giselle, oh, I can't stand her. She's so messy, but she's good for the show. But yeah, anybody who's watched the show could already tell that this divorce was bound to happen. So this is no shocker to me. By the way, I already talked to the lender and the bank. Shall we look at the bathroom? I'm like, wow, Natalie, wow. And Michael, you're doing all of this behind your wife's back? Interesting. Can you imagine if the biggest plot twist in this whole situation was that Natalie was allegedly one of Michael's mistresses? Can you imagine that? One of his mistresses helping his current wife find her house. A big plot twist. Bravo. If I was you, I would investigate Natalie a little bit more. Like, you know, put a private investigator on her and see if we could get her a champagne flute for next season. But then the producer asks Ashley in the confessional, so how do you feel that Michael is doing all of this behind your back? And I feel like with Michael, he's like 10 steps ahead of Ashley. I mean, at first I thought Ashley was doing like a smart move with Michael by, you know, trying to get a house out of him. But I don't know. I just feel like he's going to dangle that house in front of her, and it's going to come with some negative side effects to it. But Ashley, she's like, Well, I mean, it's pretty sad, and I'm really shocked about that. But I mean, what can you do? And I mean, what can you do, honestly? But Ashley, she gets emotional next to her brother Zach. She was like, sometimes I just feel like I just don't know if I am doing the right thing right now. Like, should I really divorce Michael? Should I really do it? And then I look at my savings, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, actually, it's a pretty easy decision. Like, money, him. So she starts crying and she starts leaning into Zach, and she was like, can you pass me that $100 bill right there? Yeah, that's one of Michael's. Yeah, pass me two of them. We head over to Robin's new house, and her house is huge. Congratulations to her, because the house is so nice. All of this because of her hat business. Obviously, I need to invest in some hats. So as I'm looking at her house, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going, because I just know that Giselle is somewhere over there deep down in the woods in her house made of sticks. I know she is over there about to burst a blood vessel looking at the house. Giselle doesn't like anybody having a house nicer than hers. So she's probably thinking, yeah, Robin is about to be my storyline for season 8. It's about to be me versus her for this house. So Robin, she's in the kitchen with the kids. Eventually, her roommate, Juan, he comes down the stairs, and I'm like, okay, let me get prepared to feel uncomfortable. So they're sitting down. Robin, she's looking at her phone, and she was like, oh, hey, Juan. Hey, bro, how are you? Oh, look, my mom texted me something. Oh, look, it's a picture of me in my wedding dress. Do you still love me? Oh, look at that. Wow. She's asking me, when are you going to leave Juan? Oh, sorry, that's the wrong text message. Hold on, let me keep scrolling. She said, when are we going to have a repeat of this? Oh, don't you think that's cute? Meanwhile, Juan is looking at her like, Are we done filming? Andy, am I gonna get my check already? Can I get my check already? Can I go back upstairs? Oh, we're still filming, okay. And I'm like, well, damn, Juan. I thought that, okay, maybe the pandemic, it's been some time since the pandemic started. So maybe he'll ease up and maybe he'll get softer. Absolutely not. He still does not like Robin. And Robin, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you need to leave him, because you are too good for him. I mean, it's just like the whole vibe between them is just a big no. So then Robin tells him, well, I've been thinking that maybe me and you, we should get a prenup for the future, just in case. I know Juan was probably sitting in that seat thinking, wow, Michael Darby, he would never do this to me. Well, what's the first thing that comes out of his mouth? Oh, well, first of all, Robin, I make more money than you. And if I was Robin, she was way too nice, because if I was her, I would have been like, well, prove it then. Let me see your savings. Let me see your check-ins. Who paid for that whole outfit that you have on? Who paid for those shoes that you're wearing right now? Go upstairs. Let me see your savings. Let me see the money. No, let me pull out my bank account too. Hold on. I got Wells Fargo. Like, absolutely not. He was so rude and disrespectful. And then in the confessional, the producer asks Robin, so wait, you don't make more money than Juan, because he just said it. And then Robin, she was like, no, I don't think he said that. I think that he said that eventually he'll make more money than me. And I'm like, Robin, please stop playing dumb. You know exactly what he says. Stop trying to cover up for him just because he's a man. And the producers were not playing around this entire episode, because they ran the tapes back. And what did he say? No, I make more money than you. And then Robin was like, oh, well, you know how men are. No, Robin, that is not a good excuse to protect his ego or his pride just because you make more money than him and he doesn't want to accept that. Absolutely not. Because the same way that he was so quick to throw it in your face, like, no, I make more money than you. How come you can't do it vice versa? It's not fair. Don't try to protect him just because his ego is not going to handle it. If you make more money, then say that and stand on it. Like you said at the very beginning of the episode, I am standing 10 toes down. Now you're not standing even on one toe or one pinky toe down. So what's going on? And shout out to everybody who reminded me that Robin was technically, but not technically, the reason why her and Juan lost the house and lost all his money to begin with. I do wonder if that goes into play in Juan's mind at any point. Like, she is technically making more money than me. So if we do decide to part ways for good, maybe I'll take my revenge from all those years ago now, and I'll take half of her money now. So I do wonder if he's being honest with her on signing the prenup, because he said he agreed to it. He was like, yeah, I'll sign the prenup. It's fine. You take your half and I'll take mine. But I do wonder if he'll actually go through with it, or he'll, do his revenge and take her money and then leave eventually. But we then see Wendy heading over to the clinic because her hair is falling out and it's also thinning. And I appreciate Wendy for sharing this story, because I don't think that this is a topic that is really talked about too much. at least publicly is not. So she's telling the doctor, yeah, it all happened after I gave birth to Cam. My hair started falling out and I'm not sure what's going on. The doctor started telling her, well, I feel like it could be because of a lot of stress, because you're going through a lot right now. You're doing too much. And Wendy, from everything that she's told us in her 2 seasons, she does do a lot. She does so much. She does commentary. She has children at home, her husband, I believe her candles. Now she, and especially fucking around with Peter Thomas. That's a whole different type of stress. She does that. What did she just say last episode? That she was chaperoning her son's field trip. She does so much. She's always on go, go, go. And she never takes time for herself to just kind of like relax and just sit down and just breathe a little bit. So, I could see what the doctor is saying. And Wendy said there's one thing that really touched me when she said, all I've known was stress. All I've witnessed was seeing my mom maneuver through life underneath stressful situations. And Wendy, I completely get it. I completely understand you in that aspect, because even now as an adult, just like you, I'm trying to break out of that generational cycle that my childhood has affected me now in adulthood. Because even, for example, I could be sitting here, everything could be completely fine in life. All of a sudden, I'll start thinking about things that are not even important, and I'll start stressing about them. Over time, I'll start thinking about it, and I'll overthink it to the point where now I'm giving it life. I'm giving it like this bigger thing than what it is. And it becomes like a domino effect to the point where now I'm stressing about it on a daily basis. And it's really, really, really hard and tough to break out of that cycle, especially when that's all you known from childhood. So I completely get it. The doctor, she went on to tell Wendy, well, we do have a cure, like a medicine for you, but you might grow a beard. Wendy was like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. But hopefully Wendy could cut down on her activities just by a little bit. Like maybe do commentary one day, sell candles the next day. Eliminate that whole lounge idea with Peter, because again, you don't want that in your life. You just eliminate Peter overall. So Robin and Mia meet up at this restaurant, and Robin starts off the conversation by saying, Mia, I know that you bumped heads with Giselle at Karen's spring fling party, but I want you to know that me and you, we're fine, right? We're cool. So Mia, she goes on to say, yeah, we're like completely fine. We're like besties now. Everything is okay. I'm not mad at anybody in this group. I was just shocked at Giselle coming at me the way she did. Why would she approach me like that? You know what I'm saying? That's just so not cool. So then Robin, she was like, yeah, that wasn't cool of Giselle to do that. I think that she was wrong to do that. And I'm like, Robin, what's going on here? What is happening? Producers, what's happening here? I just keep thinking that they're like playing a prank on me. Like, who is this woman that we're seeing now? Because last episode, she confronted Giselle about what she said about her house and the whole situation with Juan. And then I believe now she has a house. And then now she's actually, holding Giselle accountable. Like, what? That is 3 strikes. Robin, I don't know who you are anymore. Like, she is grasping onto that champagne flute for life. Robin wants to know about Mia's Instagram post and if she has cancer or if she doesn't. And Mia, she's trying to explain to the best of her ability, but after hearing this story in 3 different versions for 3 different episodes, Mia has completely lost me. I don't know what she is talking about because it just sounds all over the place. I don't know what to believe, if this is believable, if this is not believable. I'm glad if she doesn't have cancer. I really hope that she's not lying about that, but the whole story just sounds so sloppy. Robin, I feel like she's catching on to it too, because Robin actually keeps asking her questions. So wait, you have a lump? Tell me about the lump. Mia, it's almost like she's processing a lie in her head and how to respond. It's like, oh, what should I say? What should I say? And then Mia's like, well, I have a lump on my ass. You can see my lump on my ass. I'll show you sometime. And again, I'm not sure if she's just doing that just because she doesn't know what to say or whatever. But again, I hope that she's not lying about that. But as for the whole story and the whole Instagram thing, we just need to put that to rest because I'm confused. So then Robin, she moves it along and she was like, so wait, let's talk about the whole situation between Candiace and Giselle. Did you hear about that? What happened with Giselle at the reunion with Chris? Here goes Mia. Mia, what is going on? Mia goes on to say, well, it's funny that you say that Chris said something to Giselle at the reunion because, he kind of did something to me at Karen's spring fling party. And I'm like, what? What is going on now? So then Robin is looking at her like, wait, what are you talking about? Mia, she goes on to explain and she was like, well, at Karen's spring fling party, me and G, when we were dancing and everything, I noticed that he was over there to the side and Chris, he was looking at me and I kept looking over and yeah, he kept looking at me and I thought that was very weird. And I'm like, now Mia. And then the producers are not playing this episode because they rewind the footage. Mia, she was dancing with G on the dance floor like she said. Meanwhile, Chris is over there. He's not even looking in her direction. And then at the bottom of the screen, it said, Chris, not looking at Mia. Shady producer. So then, I think time went on like 10 minutes later. Chris, he's still looking away. Mia's still dancing with G. And then at the bottom of the screen, it said, Chris, still not looking at Mia. Like, Mia, you are such a liar. Like, and I like you, but come on now. Like, why are you trying to damage this man's reputation? On top of that, he was probably, if he was looking at your direction, he probably just wanted to order some steak and lobster from you from the strip club that you worked at. And if anything, Mia, you should be the very last one to be talking about husbands, because let's talk about your husband, Gordon, and his behavior last season on the cast trip and how inappropriate he was with Karen and Ashley Darby. First, let's start off with Karen and how he hugged her, and I believe he was flicking his tongue at her, and Karen was all uncomfortable, like, what are you doing? On top of that, let's remember when Gordon was in the Sprinter van and he kept bothering Ashley over and over and over, and Ashley was like, can you please leave me alone? And he just wouldn't stop over and over, and he just kept picking at her. Let's talk about your husband before we talk about Chris and him glancing over at you. Like, stop that. Don't do that to yourself, because again, you may think that, you're going to be following in Giselle's footsteps, or that, you're going to be like Team Giselle, like, oh, like, let me back up her lie or whatever. No, because she's easily going to go and spin that whole thing right back on you and Gordon. She's going down the line with everybody's husband so far since season 1. I'm pretty sure that you and Gordon are the next one on her list, so don't get too comfortable. Then we get 2 scenes cut in half. One is between Giselle and Karen. Giselle is going over to Karen's house. The other one is between Candiace and Chris, her husband. They're going out to eat. So Giselle, she's filling Karen in on everything that happened at the dance studio. She's showing her all the dance moves that she learned, or at least struggling to learn the dance moves that she was trying to learn. And then she proceeds to tell her about everything that happened between Chris and Candiace and that whole situation. Karen, she's listening to her and she was like, So what I get from this is that Chris, I think that he needs to apologize to you. And I'm like, Karen, can you blame her though? Because Karen, she doesn't even know the whole story fully. So it's just like, of course, her first intuition is to like, okay, obviously the man needs to apologize to you. If he made you feel uncomfortable, obviously he needs to do that. So I guess I kind of get it, but it's just like, no, again, they're painting out Chris to be like this monster on this show. And it's terrible because I feel like the entire cast is kind of playing on a slippery slope where this whole thing is going to go in a really, really, really ugly direction and it's going to spiral out of control quickly. So meanwhile, Candiace and Chris, she's in her feelings because obviously she's been taking the injections in her stomach, but the doctor has told her that the process isn't like really like speeding up, or at least going to plan as it usually does. So Candiace is getting emotional. She feels like, this is her first step as a mom and she already failed. And I'm like, oh, when she said that, it was so sad to hear. And I'm like, Candiace, it's your first time. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's body reacts differently. I'm pretty sure that over time it'll be different. So like Chris said, just give it some time. Not everybody goes through the same thing. This is your own personal journey. Not everybody else's that the doctors had. So back over at Giselle and Karen. Giselle, she went on to say both her and Chris are explaining the story side by side, right? So Giselle, her side of the story is that Chris, he wanted to talk to her privately. So he was like, oh, come to my room. Meanwhile, Chris is telling Candiace, oh no, Giselle was the one that told me, come to my room. And they both agreed to leave the door open. Meanwhile, Giselle, she's like, yeah, he told me to come to his hotel room and the door was closed and it was really uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable. And then Karen was like, so wait, did he say or do anything to you that was uncool? Giselle was just like, no, he didn't do it or say anything inappropriately, but it's just the fact that it was happening. He was a married man and we were both in the same room. That's what made me uncomfortable. And again, like I said at the beginning, I could see that to a certain extent, but it's just like Giselle is just dragging the whole situation for what it is. And I could get that part, but then she's just adding all extra layers to it. Meanwhile, Chris is telling Candiace, it's just so funny that now all of a sudden I'm the one doing this, and this to Giselle in this room. But just a second ago, she wants to talk about my penis every other season. And then they play the flashbacks. And Giselle, because if Chris was to talk about your private parts or about your breasts or about whatever on your body, I'm pretty sure you would not like that. So what? He's just supposed to be okay with that just because he's a man? Interesting, the double standard, how that worked. Meanwhile, we get Zaddy, Robin. She shows up and she's just walking down like she's somebody's lawyer. I'm like, look at her. So she shows up and they're looking at her like, I don't even know if that whole scene was planned, because Candiace and Chris, they looked at her and they looked annoyed at her. So she sits down and she was like, oh, no. You guys are not going to do me like this with this energy. No, stop. Come hug me. She was so cute. She sat down and she was like, okay, obviously we're just going to have to get to it because I see the energy here is terrible. I'm like, Robin, you know it's terrible when Robin is the voice of reasoning this whole entire season so far. So she sits down, they're talking about the whole situation. Robin was just like, the whole situation with Giselle and Chris, she actually told me that in the van back at the reunion. She told me about that. But I don't get why she's bringing that up now. And I'm like, Robin, I'm just getting all hot and bothered because Robin, you finally have a backbone. All you have to do is just drop Juan. You'll be like a triple threat. So Robin, she continues on and she was like, I don't understand why she's doing all of this. I mean, I just think that she's over exaggerating it. I don't get why she's bringing this up now. And I'm like, Meanwhile, back over there at Karen's house, Karen was just like, wait, so what happened with this whole story between you and Chris? How did it get out there? So now Giselle, she's blaming Robin. And she was like, well, Robin, I told her and she told Mia. And of course, if you tell Mia, you're telling everybody. And I'm like, wait, so this is new. So then the production team, they asked Karen, so wait, do you think that there's cracks between the Green-Eyed Bandits? Karen was just like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, wow, man, it's just going to be so interesting when Giselle, she finally goes after Robin's marriage. Oh, wait. There's nothing to go after. But meanwhile, back over, with Candiace and Robin and Chris is just like, yeah, I just don't understand that. I'm nice to everybody. I would never do such a thing like this to anybody. So I don't get why they're coming at me like this. Candiace, she goes on to say, yeah, Giselle, she needs to rewind this whole entire story because as of now, she's dead to me. And I'm pretty sure that right now, in current time, I think that Giselle is dead to her because she keeps tweeting about this whole situation. And she was like, oh, for season 8, if I come back, I'm just going to start spreading lies on everybody since that's what we're doing. And I don't see Giselle or Candiace. I don't see Candiace forgiving Giselle for this because you're playing with her husband and it's just like, I don't know. And again, Candiace is going soft on you so far, Giselle. Just wait till the reunion because I don't think that that's going to be good. But meanwhile, back over at Karen's house, Karen is telling Giselle, oh, I don't know about this whole situation, because the husband, it's a very tricky situation because 3 years ago, I actually had the same situation happen to me where this husband made me uncomfortable. He hugged me to the point where my breasts, I believe, were touching like the back of her spine or something like that. And I was just thinking, I'm like, who could have done such a thing? She said 3 years ago. So obviously, because my first instinct was Gordon, but he wasn't on the show 3 years ago. So I don't know. I mean, and I don't think, was Wendy on the show? So it could have been Eddie, Juan, even Monique's husband. I'm not sure, but who do y'all think it was? I'm very curious. The producer, they were like, who the person is. Karen was just like, oh no, I can't say. So that was that. Giselle, she went on to say, oh, I thought that, after the time that me and Candiace, after we spoke after that situation, I thought that Candiace would have came around and she would have told Chris to call me and apologize, but she didn't. So for that, I'm not forgiving that. And I'm like, Giselle, again, I don't know. I don't see Chris apologizing. Maybe I do because I feel like he'll be the type to be like, Giselle, okay, I'm sorry for, going into your room or going in a room together. I'm sorry for that. And that's that. But that's that. You're not going to blame me out to be like this horrible person on TV. And that's that. Meanwhile, back over at Robin and Chris and Candiace. I just keep playing tennis with both scenes. That was that. Robin, she kept having a backbone and she was like, no, I'm not with the whole thing with Giselle. I'm not sure why she's making this whole situation bigger than what it was. And I'm like, Robin, somebody give her the center champagne flute for next season. Like, she deserves it. And give her a raise too while you're at it. But that was that, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen between Mia and Candiace once Candiace finds out what Mia said about Chris and how he was supposedly looking at her at Karen's party. That's a whole different issue. So again, they're just going to continue piling up until this whole thing explodes like a volcano. But I guess we shall see what happens. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Chris should apologize to Giselle? Do you think that Giselle should apologize to him? What do y'all think? Do y'all think that there is any type of forgiveness between Candiace and Giselle? Would you forgive Giselle after this? I mean, again, you're playing on somebody's marriage, but we shall see what happens with that. Let me know what you all thought about this episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.